Okay, let's dive right into this thought experiment. It's the story of a world that is so sick of itself that it's just begging for a cure, no matter what that cure costs. We're going to unpack the Utopia paradox found in ReVnion. This right here, this is the cry from the heart of the story. It's the voice of a whole generation of alienated youth, punks, intellectuals who feel like the world around them already stinks of death. And it's this deep, profound sense of decay that really sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. So to really get a handle on the cure, you've got to first understand the disease. And our story begins in this place called the Resi, which is basically a perfect little snapshot of this social breakdown. The Resi is just filled with the dissatisfied and the disaffected. And listen, this isn't just your typical teenage angst. It's a much deeper societal sickness. Everyone here, from the punks to the tech-savvy moderny, they all share this really intimate feeling of dissatisfaction, this hunger for something, anything, more than a life that just feels totally meaningless. This is the perfect, fertile ground for a radical and, well, an incredibly dangerous solution. And right into this world of decay steps the architect of that solution, a man who truly believes he can fix it all. He's known as Drago, or the Meticulous, and he is this brilliant, obsessive guy who, after years and years of study, thinks he's found a scientific cure for all the world's problems. And this is his instrument. He calls it the devil. Now, this isn't magic. It's a terrifying application of science. He got the idea from this obscure old Russian text and built a machine that can literally engineer happiness. It can create any emotion, really, just by broadcasting a specific sound frequency that bypasses all your rational thought and taps directly into the most primal parts of your brain. So the billion-dollar question is, does it actually work? The first public test is set for a rock concert. I mean, what better laboratory than a room full of people already looking for an escape, right? So picture this. It's 8 p.m., the theater is packed wall to wall with 1,000 restless kids. Then at 9:15, the music kicks in and Drago flips the switch on the devil. The effect is almost immediate. By 9:30, just 15 minutes later, the whole place is silent, transfixed. Every single person has this blissful smile of ecstasy on their face. And by 10 o'clock, they aren't individuals anymore. They've become the swarm, one single silent entity just waiting for a command. An onlooker, one of the few who wasn't affected, saw this and thought to herself, a horde of happy zombies. And that perfectly captures the terrifying trade-off here. To get perfect bliss, perfect unity, you have to give up your individuality completely. It turns out paradise has a really steep price. So, with his proof of concept a horrifying success, Drago decides it's time to scale things up. He's thinking bigger than one theater now. He's thinking the entire world, and he does it in a pretty clever way. He hijacks a national concert broadcast, which of course gets picked up by the evening news, and suddenly his signal, what he calls the God effect, is beamed into millions of homes. In that moment, he becomes a kind of digital deity. And from the stage, he starts issuing a new set of rules for all of humanity. And these are his new commandments. I mean, they start simply enough, right? Donate, help, love, pretty much the foundation of any decent moral society. But look at how they progress. It shifts from outward actions to inward states of being. Nothing is yours alone attacks the very idea of private property. Do to yourself what you do to others basically weaponizes empathy. And then you get to the final one, the most insidious of all. Be happy. It's not a wish anymore. It's a command. A set of seemingly good principles becomes a framework for total emotional control. And this brings us right to the central paradox of the whole story. If you can create a perfect world, but only by force, is it still perfect? When kindness and goodwill are chemically engineered, what is the actual cost? And the consequences of this forced utopia? Well, they were immediate, they were staggering, and you could actually measure them. The results were just astonishing. Violent crime, that first bar there, it pretty much vanished overnight. Gone. But look at that second bar. For every bit of peace they gained, there was a terrible price. A massive spike in suicides, 4.5 times larger. It was a chilling, perfectly correlated side effect. So why the spike? Well, it came from a terrifyingly literal interpretation of Drago's fifth commandment: do to yourself what you do to others. People who had caused immense harm, we're talking mafiosi, criminals, tyrants, they were now compelled by this God effect to inflict that same harm on themselves. And in some places, this wave of self-destruction was actually celebrated. They even gave it a name, apulizia, the cleaning. And you know what's really fascinating here is that even the gods of this new machine find their creation totally hollow. A world with no struggle, no passion, no free will. It turns out it's a world with no meaning, even for them. They are completely lost in the very paradise they worked so hard to build. And here's the thing about a system that's built on a single point of control. It has a single catastrophic point of failure. During what was supposed to be another global address, Drago is killed. And the irony is just staggering. The very microphone he used to broadcast his will across the planet becomes the instrument of his own death, remotely detonated by some unknown enemy. The cure, quite literally, becomes the disease. And in this moment of just grotesque, everyday reality, his friend Marco's most vivid memory of a whole event isn't the explosion itself, but the smell. The man who played God doesn't end with a bang, but with the scent of a barbecue. The second its leader is gone, the swarm, left without a mind to guide it, just devolves instantly into pure chaos. At his huge funeral, a panic breaks out, and it causes a literal landslide that kills thousands. The Utopia, unable to sustain itself for even a single moment without its master, just consumes itself in one last violent spasm. So we're left with the central question of this whole utopia. If a perfect world is built on a lie, the lie that happiness can be forced on people, how long can it possibly last? ReVnion's answer seems to be not long at all, because a paradise that takes away our freedom to choose, our freedom to struggle, and yeah, even our freedom to be unhappy, well, that's not paradise. It's just a prettier cage.